No, fetishes are things that turn you on. And the story you invented around it, whatever turns you on, generally you'll create a story around it because you cannot be totally honest. And the fetish is that the combination of what turns you on and the story you invent yourself to cover up your real obsession. But the key of a fetish is it turns you on. And what turns you on, again, if your nervous system is healthy, you're always on. When you meet a person whose nervous system is functioning, there's a resonance, and resonance just increases potentiality. She doesn't turn you on. You're already on. A fetish means that there's, in the first place, in the nervous system, there's a lack of congruity, a lack of fluidity and motion. So there's tensions in the pathway. Because there's tensions in the pathway, the flow isn't optimal. Sometimes it's almost totally shut, or it's only in certain areas and whatnot. The fetish is the thing that is able to trigger or stimulate the tension. Kind of like tickling it, rubbing it, stimulating it, which doesn't release it. But because you tickle it, it creates an irritation which enhances the movement of energy. And if you keep at it, and it's precise enough, it kind of like breaks the dam. It's that spot. And that's what people say, it hit that right spot. What's that spot? It's that spot I'm not able to reach. It's a secret spot deep inside my body, or deep inside my liver, or deep inside my testicle, or deep inside the tip of my cock. It's a particular spot where the energy doesn't ever circulate, but when it does, I get the fucking cum of my life. Yeah, but why is the energy not circulating there? Because let's say there's a blockage in the kidney, and that the blockage in the kidney is a specific spot in the kidney, which is connected to a specific part of the pancreas, goes to a specific spot in the heart, which goes through into the lung, all the way through into the neck, into a specific part of your brain. Of course, it's corresponding in your legs, right? And all of this is held up by a specific mind state and a specific emotional pattern. So how does that get triggered if that's protected? So I need a specific context that's able to trigger that chain of tension, which activates it at the right level, the right intensity, so it's turned on, so I can feel it and the energy circulates. That's what I mean by a fetish. It's because the energy doesn't flow properly. So I need a particular kind of experience which turns me on. I guess it's a little hard for people to understand. Does it make sense at least? I hope I'm doing okay job to describe it. I'm sure we'll describe it some more in other videos. Depending on my mood, I'll describe it indifferently, but today's mood is a little bit like this. I gave an example in a previous series. The guy in school with the yellow dress. No, fuck it. Porn, it'll be easy, right? So you're a guy, you're an average guy, your energy is all stuck and compressed. So you see certain images when you watch pornography that quote unquote arouse you. And as you've noticed, people are more and more compressed. So the images that arouse them are more and more intense and more violent. In other words, the way that they're stimulated comes from something more violent. It's aggressive. It's not anymore just a lingerie. Nah, it's a girl being fucked up her ass by like 6 guys. Or some kind of like twisted is the word. Right? So this is not to talk about porn. It's to say, well, why? In the first place, here you are sitting and you're all constricted. But what's holding your constriction? Your mind, your fears, your insecurities, your conditioning, your ignorance, etc., etc., etc. So your energy doesn't circulate. So how we get energy to circulate in such a person? by offering that person extreme images that stimulate or force or induce a form of circulation by irritating you, irritating certain centers, irritating certain fetishes, such as the fetish of violence. Let's say you're very annoyed and you're like all constricted. I want to fuck that girl. I want to rape her. You want to see that. It turns you on. Like people have fetishes of murders. They watch movies, people killing each other all the time. Nobody thinks of this anymore. It's normal to watch movies where people kill each other. It's just a norm. I will never forget when I was a kid, my parents, they wanted to take us to the movies. It was during the Christmas. And, at the time, you don't have the internet. You only have a newspaper, right? And the new movies coming out, it was PG-13. It was, what is it called? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. What's his name? Die Hard, right? So our parents took us to see Die Hard. They don't know what the fuck Die Hard is, nor who Bruce Willis is, right? And we saw the movie. I remember till today, we walked out of the movie theater, the feeling we had. We were like kids, right? Maybe we were 10, 11. I don't remember the age. We were traumatized because we wouldn't watch movies like this, with people being shot and murdered and explosion and violence and language and not just that, it's just insane. It's cruelty. Like a random dude wants to invade the airport and kill everybody for whatever reason. Today, this is so normal. But when you're a kid and that's not in your normal, this is traumatic because you're like, this could happen? Not only is it traumatic for what you're seeing, the idea of it is traumatic, and the insanity and its disconnection from reality also is traumatic. Everything is traumatic, right? And we were like, I remember the feeling where it's just, I'm like, my nervous system was trembling. And we're looking at each other like little guys, and we're like, everyone's shaking, and all we remember is that yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. And we're just like, whoa. Right? This is just the norm today. So coming back to what I was saying, these images that we take for granted today, they somehow at a certain level resonate with deep psychological processes. And because you can't acknowledge that your truth for yourself, which means if you acknowledge truth, there's a form of circulation that happens. But because you can never acknowledge any truth for yourself, you need something on the outside that somehow represents that for you. But it's going to be aggrandized and exaggerated to kind of give you that little fix. But you're not conscious of it and you're not acknowledging it either, but you're watching it and somehow it is affecting you. And so you're that little guy jacking off and you don't know the effects of these images on you. That's number one. But also, you're also stuck and you're watching this and somehow it's triggering you and you don't even know why. But yet it's creating emotion in you. And now, let's not go further in this because this is complex and we can go in so many different angles. So now you start to associate that circulation with those images. That's besides the point of, well, why are you constricted in this way? What has conditioned you to be so stuck? Which are a psychological process, mental, emotional abuse that you've endured as a kid with your own mother, with your father. All this is, let's not get into that, which constrict your nervous system and have made you addicted to certain kind of a chemical environment. Remember, your body is a pharmacy. Your mind creates certain tensions in the body, which creates certain kind of a chemical space. When you're upset, or a specific kind of upset, because upset can be broken down in 1,000 different versions of upset, it creates a certain kind of chemistry. Upset, it pumps a certain form of energy. That energy responds. Certain organs, right, tense. These organs are manufacturers of hormones. These organs are manufacturers of digestion. So if the digestion slows down, it creates a certain kind of sensation. That sensation now is connected to another sensation. It creates literally a form of chemistry that, if it's done properly, it gives you a certain kind of feeling that is associated with the mind pattern, and then you behave in a certain way when you're in that zone that gives you certain experiences that either enhance it or reduce it, that you may like or may not like. Like, human beings are complex. There's a lot of layers to it. All I'm trying to say is as you're jacking off and you're coming with a setup and now you're watching this, and all this is now starting to condition you. And at the end of the day, what are you really looking for? A moment of repose. And what is repose? There is nothing blocking the circulation of energy. Because what creates friction is blockage, tensions. Tensions block the flow of energy. And those tensions, like I said, are associated with mental states. So these mental states are activated, and these mental states are representing a problem in your life in one degree or another that you're unable to solve, trying to solve. So your mind is spinning, spinning, spinning. So you cannot repose. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Try to make it stop. Try to make it stop. Huh? Yeah. So anyways, the point is, we're in that mental space. So everyone is trying to find a release. But because people don't know how to relax, which is a science, it's a deep, profound science that requires you to navigate through the journey through the psyche, which is not separated from the body. So people don't know how to release tension. So they use whatever methods they're able to find, whether it's a song that makes you cry, so it releases it hits a specific target, now you cry and you weep. Well, what's weeping? It's a form of orgasm, as we commonly know orgasm. That means something tick, 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 that specific point where energy doesn't circulate, and then there was an overdose, and then your system didn't know what to do because it doesn't know how to let the energy flow, and then it comes. And the liquids come out through forms of tears. Some people are addicted to coming. Some people are addicted to crying. You need to cry all the time. Anytime you do something, they don't know how to let the energy circulate. They need to go in the corner and have an orgasm of crying, in which they secrete tears with level minerals and important nutrients in the tears, and they lose energy. So anyways, everybody's trying to find a release in order to have a moment of repose where the energy circulates. So you're looking for things that resonate or represent a certain aspect of truth, but it's not really truth because it's not yours, but you're living it vicariously through another person or an exaggerated version, depending on how numb you are. And all you're trying to do is find a release where you can have a moment of you're honest enough with yourself, or you force a form of honesty with yourself, or you force a release through a certain kind of action, like running intensely like a psychopath 18 times in the same day, where you exhaust your system. So now it's just like released due to the body can't hold tensions up for the next hour because it's so exhausted. So there's a form of circulation. There's so many strategies just so that there's a quote unquote release so that you can feel So if we go back to the fetish is the thing that turns you on. It's the thing that pokes and activates something very deep inside of you, deep in your psychology and deep in your nervous system and its circuitry, and activates this form of, literally when we say turned on, it activates a certain kind of circulation of energy. And then the energy starts to circulate in parts of your body where it's never allowed to go, which creates a sensation. It's also very tense, like the liquid passes and it's very like compressed. And where it goes, it like, it gives you that sensation that you want, because it never goes there. And there's an addiction to it. It's a secret addiction. It's your secret room. And then when it goes there, in a way, the circulation of that energy is the equivalent of a release. It's not, because you haven't really released nor become conscious of what's blocking, but you're getting a friction version of as if it had released. You force the circulation by aggressing your system. Because you haven't resolved. Release comes from resolving. A release of tension comes through resolution. You have to resolve a problem for the tension to disappear. But if you're unable to release the tension, if you're unable to resolve the problem, therefore the tension can never release. So how do you find a release? By squeezing the fucking tension and going to the very like core of its core and forcing a circulation. Which means it's a threat to your system. Because if your body closed that circuit off, it's to protect you. Protect you from that state of mind, protect you from your behavior, protect you from that intensity, protect you. For your system, that's a threat. That's why I said fetishes are associated to fear, and people are drawn to one another out of fear. They don't understand that because people think fear, I'm scared of the bear. We're talking about fear, deep psychological processes as fear. Some girl go out on dates with guys and they're scared fuckless of sex, and they're going to find themselves in an apartment in order to quote unquote conquer their fear of sex, because they want to prove to themselves that they're not afraid, and they live, and that's their sexuality. They're aroused by the fear. All that journey and all that pornographic art form that they're doing with that guy is due to fear. The fear is arousing them. The fear is turning them on, and then you can contextualize it and it becomes specific. And anyways, I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense to you. I hope it does. It's a very complex subject. There's so many streams and so many levels of knowledge that one has to understand the intricate functioning of the mind and the human being, and the energy circuits and the tensions and blockages within the energy circuits, and what holds them, what doesn't hold them, how a fetish is installed in your body, what turns it on, how it gets triggered, why it gets. It's a science, dare I say? Not dare I say, it's exactly that. So I'm trying as best as possible within this random flow to communicate so many things at the same time. I believe I'm doing a good job. I hope you're receiving this, and don't be too picky on what I'm saying. Just get what I'm saying.